One thing I really enjoy about this latest DanMachi episode is that how it makes Belle a very consistent character in ways you don't always see. But for an episode that basically breaks him to the point of no return, I don't know what I want to say mathematically happened, but just to make it nice and simple, he was 99% of the way there to being gone for good. Because what's brilliant about the way Freya and this Familia handled things is that his only peace and comfort was at night with her. During the day, Master out here beating him like he's Rick from the Osanubi adventure, and it doesn't matter if you die because we'll just bring your bitch ass back. So, having nothing but he wakes up, he eats, he fights for survival, and then his only peace of mind is that in the comfort of Freya, who is his one peace of mind. Had he not fallen asleep that night and continued to talk with her, he probably would have gave in 100%. But because he's a consistent character, Eyes was able to bring him back. Now, anyone who follows the channel long enough knows that Ryu is my favorite. I think she's the best out of it. But I'm also consistent myself with how I look at romance and anime. It's not what the viewer wants, it's what the character wants. And given that Belle has been surrounded by quite a few ladies, he's been consistent in the fact that he wants Eyes. And the fact that Eyes was the one to fully snap him back in because he's like, you know what? Something ain't right. And the idea that she instinctively grabbed him saying, hey, do you want to go train top of the wall? It just feels like this is right. Is something I really appreciate about the writing, and when I think back of how I felt about the show when completing season 1, I never thought the writing would ever get close to this good. I thought it was going to be kind of a generic, kind of fun show, but nothing that I'm really going to be impressed by, especially with a character like Belle. But goddamn am I impressed with a character like Belle. Now, of course, I have full live reactions over on Patreon. If you want to see my full length thought to any of these episodes, you know it's over there exclusively. So, this was a good episode, and it has me generally wondering if this is going to be my favorite DanMachi season, because I've said it, a couple of times, I think, that I think by the end of this season, it's going to be probably on par with Season 4 for me. And if you watch my Season 4 videos, you know how much I freaking like Season 4. But the more I'm seeing about the kind of like psychological warfare they're doing on Belle's mind and the kind of resistance group in the background building up, I mean, Hermes is finally coming around. It's an arc that really speaks to me. And I'm not going to be surprised if by the end of the season, if I come up here and say, actually, it's probably my new favorite season. And it ain't recency bias either. It's just, I generally think DanMachi has, for the most part, gotten better with each season, especially season 3 onwards. The only, like, honestly, season 2 is the only season that I kind of would put at the bottom. And that's not even saying season 2 is bad. It's just my least enjoyable season overall. But 3 through 5 now have, I don't know, man, the author found their freaking groove is all I'm saying. So, Belle as a character is an interesting one because a lot of his personality and traits isn't really revolutionary. It's nothing that we haven't seen before. A character who wants to stick by his friends, you know, has a love that's basically just fell in love at first sight because of how he was interacting with a girl, and ultimately he's surrounded by a lot of beauties, but there's something about his innocence, and it's the fact that this is an arc that's all about breaking his innocence and making him feel like he's only safe around Freya. And Freya is damn effective as a gaslighter, as a manipulator, because the whole Familia worships the ground she walks on, and the idea of how it's being presented like, hey, she's chosen you to be like her number one, and if you ain't strong enough, like, you don't deserve that. So pick up your sword, be a man, fight, etc, etc. And just the reluctant walk and how he's just so defeated. Like, this is max level depression. You know, if there's like different stats that he has on his body, he got a new one. It's depression, and it's completely broke. And it's sad because at the end of the day, we know how many characters truly do care for him, but this spell has really screwed people over. And just watching Freya just being like, hey, spend the night with me, and, you know, I'm not going to do anything, whatever you want goes. And it's the idea of just how stiff and lifeless he is, not because, like, he hates the situation with Freya, he hates the situation of everything surrounding him, and he's just like, what even is the purpose? Why do I have these vivid memories? And it's just so well done. And had he not fallen asleep there, I truly think he would have gave in fully. I think that's why she was a little kind of snarky, a little sassy, because she realized, like, how close. And something that was a nice reveal, it makes sense. I wasn't really questioning it when it was revealed last week that Mama Mia from the inn also wasn't affected, but turns out she's a part of the Freya Familia, which she just decided one day, screw that bitch, I'm gonna do my own thing, and I appreciate that. I'd like to imagine the conversation kind of went something along the lines of Mia being like, hey Freya, I'm gonna go run a tavern. And she's like, who do you think you're talking to? And then she just kind of walked up to her and said, who do you think you're talking to? And then she said, understood. I don't know, Mia's an intimidating character. She kind of feels like she feels like your biological mom as soon as you start interacting with her, and you're just like, okay, whatever you say goes, boss. So it makes sense that, you know, someone a part of the Familia wasn't affected ultimately. And yeah, I mean, that was kind of the starting point of, you know, things starting to click for Bell more and more. And I really do appreciate that he went to Eyes of All People next, because at the end of the day, he wants to believe, right? He's like, listen, why does this comfort with Freya feel so good if I turn down Seer, right? Like, that whole, it's so confusing. And the fact that he goes and meets up with Eyes, the Sword Princess, and she instinctively grabs on, says, hey, do you want to go train with us? It just feels right. It's just perfect. It feels like it's a consistent character arc for Bell, while he also does grow along other characters. And while I may have my preferences with characters like Ryu, and I think the anime hasn't done overall a great job at fleshing Eyes out as a character, her moments that are here like these, I do think keep her relevant enough that never makes me infuriated with Bell's decision. And also, I always believe that a character should follow their heart rather than what, you know, the fan favorites, you know, want them to do. And I really appreciate the fact that you can tell that this bond was special. And the fact that we go from Bell struggling to fight for his life throughout all these episodes, but most importantly, the start of the episode, I mean, they were abusing Bell. Like, everyone else basically had to jump in and say, bro, what the hell? And Masters over here is saying, like, you guys bitches. And I'm like, Jesus. To Bell pushing back. Now, is he strong enough to beat him? No, I mean, he's a couple ranks shy of that. But the fact that he pushed back, and most importantly was using the teachings that he learned from the Sword Princess rather than him, it shows that he has that wolf still in him. And it'll be interesting to see how he bites back as everything's now starting to click, and the sneaky counterattack is on the table. Just a great episode. To be honest, one of my favorite episodes over the past couple DanMachi seasons. Not overall, don't get it crazy. I know anytime I say stuff like that, they're like, what about this? That episode's probably good too, whatever you're thinking of. But it's one of the ones that I think is going to stick with me, and probably is my personal favorite out of Season 5 so far. And that is saying a lot, but it just really clicks and works, and explains why I like Bell as a character so much, even though at face value he should be everything generic that I dislike, but the author made something at surface level truly start to develop into something that is a character I legitimately love. Now, of course, those are my feelings. Let me know what you thought of this week's episode. Are you liking this season as much as me, or is this season just not doing it for you? Let me know. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll give you a video shout out. So today we got Ukondo, Itsahuni, Jesse Wright, Simul Crumb, Troy, and we also have a Riku Matsu. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and you all have a good one.